right, gentlemen, here we go. Ripping the intro music. Ooh.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. 1, 6, 3, 2, 1.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you, in earnest, into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to a special Saturday edition of Troubled Minds Radio. What's going on, guys? It's Saturday. It's one of the days we usually get together and rest. Well, tonight, no rest for the wicked. It is up to us. If somebody's going to save the world, as Jay in New York always says. Wait, what's he say? I think he says somebody's got to do it. I don't know. I butchered that, but it's okay. We're just a little, to let you know that this is a little bit of a sort of a lighter effort, meaning that this is just sort of a way to get together and hang out and talk about different things and sort of catch up on a bunch of let's say interesting or whatnot in some other places that we may have missed, or follow up on some old shows that maybe you think that we need to talk about, or maybe just basically whatever, show feedback if you want to call and ask me stuff or ask James stuff, because we're here with James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal, and we're doing the thing. So this is a Saturday night Troubled Minds bonus show. So very, very just sort of a casual affair of just getting together and more strange things by dark of night, but it's this Saturday edition. So that's what we're doing tonight. I've picked out some news stories. I got some links down below if you guys want to check it out and get a preview before and have an idea on that stuff. Or, like I said, this is also the time where we can kind of really just say, hey, what else? What else do you guys have that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about? So it's sort of one of those sort of catch-up situations. And, of course, this is for the sponsored by the fine folks that sponsored this show, the people that sign up on Patreon, the people that sign up on Twitch, and the people that sign up on Rockfin. This is literally specifically sponsored by those individuals, so as well as everybody else, of course, but they're the ones who make this happen. These shows are specifically for them and the archives that they get as part of that. So thank you. Huge thanks to those folks. You guys know exactly who you are. I should have had a list prepared, but it's Saturday. Fuck it. It's like half a day off. So that's what we're going to do tonight. It's like, fuck it. It's half a day off. But without further ado, let's get to James and say hi to James at Salsido Paranormal. What's up, James? Already there. I think you beat me to the punch tonight. I was like, oh shit, is it that time already?
Yeah, it's no, it's been great to listening to your shows all week, and I'm glad to be here. I always enjoy doing these shows with you whenever there's a chance to do that. So, and I would highly recommend anyone that wants to do that as well. Uh, just contact Mike and get some things arranged as far as what you want to talk about, and go from there because it's a lot of fun.
There you go. Do the thing. Sign your ass up. And so James here, a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show. You guys know exactly who he is. But if you don't, and you're here for the first time, or maybe you just pop in from time to time, and if you miss James, he's got a podcast called Salsido Paranormal. Links in the description down below. I'll actually rearrange that to do that on top. Because like I said, this is very low effort. I didn't really put anything together. It's kind of like the news show. Just throwing some interesting things in, and we're going to talk about them. So like I said, this is a catch-up moment. And so if there's anything you guys want to follow up on from the past several weeks or whatnot, or add something we haven't talked about, that's what it's for. So if you want to be part of the show, we are doing this live to include you, streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. We are broadcasting not on the Fringe FM because, well, it's not our time slot on Saturday. So that's what's going on. And so you can phone lines up, Discord's up, troubleminds.org, click the Discord link, and there we go. It's as easy as that. I think that's pretty easy, right, James?
Yeah, I mean, easy enough for everyone to get into, I think, hopefully. And Discord can take a little while to get used to, but I tell you what, once you do, it is amazing.
There you go. Get on the Discord, troubleminds.org, click the Discord link. Real quick, Adonna, Vicky, the sisters are here on Rockfin. We can begin the show. Greetings, fellow Earthlings. How are you? Ronald is here. How you doing? Just had an awesome jam session on the front porch. Fantastic. What's up, guys? Over to YouTube real quick. We'll say hi, and then we'll just keep on trucking. We got Eli Matthew. The Exposure is here. What's up, Clear Light? APOC, Slick Sticky. What's up, JT? Matt in California. What's up, guys? The One. You're the one. We got Paradox Fossils. Elizabeth is here. How you doing? Woohoo! Saturday night special. Yeah. I think that's a weapon. I believe that. Never mind. Raymond, how you doing? 528. Bailey's here. Jeremy, the Night Staka. Tim is here. What's going on? Welcome to the upside. Welcome to the downside up. That's a great way to put it. All right, James. Anything? Let's start with you, my man. Let's put your ass right on the spot. Is there anything you want to talk about in terms of let's say just catch up time? Just anything that we've missed from the past several weeks on Troubled Minds that maybe you thought, we should have taken this or done that or whatever else is going on, et cetera, so on. Let's put James on the spot. Get it, James. What you got, my friend?
These shows and these ideas, they just go by so fast. I really don't have anything directly. I really enjoyed Thursday's show with the idea of how are we going to contact, or how have we been contacted by other beings out there, whoever or wherever they are. Really enjoyed that episode. So, and definitely recommend checking out all the earlier episodes.
The old the quantum music episode. How do we communicate with aliens?
Yeah. Thinking of doing a show not on that angle, but just on just kind of inspired by that show, just because it has me thinking about all the different ways that people have reported having contact with other beings, over the years, and I think that could be a fun show to do. So that'll be happening probably one of these weekends in the future. Another bonus show, but on my end of things. So I'll let everyone know when that happens.
There you go. And we'll be all over that as well, and making sure that everybody's there. All right, so there you go. That's what we're doing. We're doing exactly that. Just kind of chill time, slow time. Just talking about stuff we may have missed. But let's start here. Let's just start here. Remember, I was talking about on the news show a couple days ago. I was discussing. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. Maybe it was a week ago. I don't know. It all blends together in my brain. But if you guys recall, I was talking about AI propaganda, right? And how suddenly Elon Musk says literally that we should be worried, right? Kind of described this as unleashing the demon, this AI stuff, right? And clearly and obviously this is going to get hotter and hotter and crazier the more technology starts to develop these ideas of sentience and artificial intelligence, right? The more spooky things start coming out of AI, and it's happening, right? And so if you feel like it's sort of accelerating, not just on this show, but in the news cycles, I think it is. I think this is actually one of those things where we're starting starting to hear people again with what was his name? Blake Lemoine is his name. There you go. Test my memory on that. The Google engineer that just said that their Lambda chatbot is becoming sentient. He called himself a whistleblower, got put on administrative leave, and all the rest of that. But then we have this other bizarreness, right, where he literally says, hey, this thing woke up and it scared the hell out of me, and I think people need to know about it, right? So there's that, okay? But and not only that, so we have that type of stuff going on, people working on the inside. Again, Elon Musk saying, we got to remember strawberry fields forever, his example, where he says if you make a self-learning robot that its sole aim was to make strawberries, it would sort of do that at all expense, and just who knows what kind of terrifying things it would do just to, make more strawberry fields. And that was his joke, strawberry fields forever, right? And so I don't think that was satire. I think he was actually saying that we have some serious business to handle here. So anyway, back to AI propaganda, right? We've got this. This is from Futurism, and this is today. And wouldn't you know it, it says this: analysis. No, AI isn't sentient, you absolute morons. All right. Commentary on the headline, James, before we start. What the F?
Well, first of all, that's pretty darn rude. I mean, geez, everybody morons.
Yeah, right? Especially in the headline. At least wait a paragraph or two down, for crying out loud.
Yeah, no, but this whole AI thing really, it brings, my mind goes in a few different directions. First of all, I think, again, propaganda is always out there. I worry though about if it ever does develop where it is accessing all of, let's say, social media and all that, and I worry that what if it becomes evil because that's what people think it's going to become. That is one angle of it. And
the subheadline here is, it says, we just want it to be for the most human of reasons. And I think, I don't know if you peeked the article, but it seems like you're right onto what they're saying here. I think so. I mean, go ahead and finish your thought. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, and I haven't looked at any of the links, so that's amazing that went that way. But yeah, I regardless of whether it can or can't, I like to keep the option open that anything is possible. I think it could be just a matter of time before that happens. But like I said, I worry that, again, I mentioned this, I brought this up in a show a while back now, this idea that there's so much popular culture, content, media out there, movies and all that, where the AI is always bad. It seems like there's more of that than there is of much of anything else. Overall, unless it's maybe movies more aimed towards younger audiences. But when it's more aimed towards adults or teens or whatever, it seems like it's just, that's the consensus, is it's going to be bad. And I worry that, like I said, that even if it doesn't start out bad, that just by placing that energy on that outcome, we could drive it to that.
The old manifesting our future reality, right? that whole routine.
Yep. And so I always feel like we need to be careful and monitor everything as it's progressing, and just be careful about how we communicate with it and what we put out there that it might encounter. I mean, really, if you want to take that to people in general, that should be the way it is anyway, I feel like. But that's not how things have been going. Going back to the upside down, the way that just we're always supposed to be angry at each other and putting each other down, and that's sad.
It is. And I think, like you're saying, that this whole AI stuff, it's fascinating because, like I always say, right? May you live in interesting times, all the rest of that stuff. But then there's the idea that if this is happening, and I maintain this, that once something out there wakes up, okay, let's say assuming it's possible, right? And even if you don't believe like AI itself sort of adopting a soul or becoming conscious in that sense, or, all it has to do is come close enough to that, right? To fool, back to Blade Runner and that what was that test that they did where they were, Harrison Ford was trying to figure out if the replicants were real or not, whether they were people or robots. You couldn't even tell. You needed experts to figure this out. And I think this is the world we're going to be heading to, because the second it gets close enough and starts, again, like this last one, they say the Lambda AI demanded a lawyer, an actual lawyer, to like fight for its rights. So the second you get like legal representation for an AI chatbot, bro, the world is, well, the world is something, that's for sure. But yeah, wild stuff. So we'll see. And I think it's going to be subversive at first. I think it's not going to wake up and declare itself awake. I think it's going to wake up and be like, right? Kind of be quiet and take note of the situation and how we treat it. And right. That's what I think is going to happen. Right.
Yeah. That's why I worry about a lot of, and I'm not saying this is about anyone here. I'm just saying that the popular opinion, the consensus on that is it's going to be bad. And anyway, I think I've already gone over that whole cycle of how that could go. But
yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. All right, back to this article for just a bit. We're talking to you guys tonight. We're taking your calls if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show. We had Matt in Colorado here a minute ago. I don't know if he dipped out to come back to something or other. But anyway, you're welcome to jump back in here, Matt. But okay, so read back to this article. Interesting that. I'll add a final point to this after we read some of this. But listen to this. This is from, again, futurism.com. And the headline, analysis, no AI isn't sentient, you absolute morons, right? So here we go. Big waves were made earlier this year when a former engineer, Google engineer, Blake Lemoine, had told a reporter at the Washington Post that a Google language modeling AI, a chatbot called Lambda, was sentient. Google refuted the claims, ultimately firing Lemoine, but not before the engineer's testimony sent the question of AI sentience and the ethics of language modeling programs ricocheting through public discourse. Say that 3 times fast, James. Ricocheting. Go. Okay. Ricocheting. Well, you didn't have to do that. I was only joking. Thank you, though. Quote, I know a person when I talk to it, the engineer told the Post, who broke the story back in June. Continue, quote, it doesn't matter whether they have a brain made of meat in their head or if they have a billion lines of code. I talk to them and I hear what they have to say, and that is how I decide what is and isn't a person. Oh. So anyway, here's the thing from the article. Artificial intelligence isn't yet and likely won't ever be conscious, they say. This is despite the fact that a lot of people, especially those building the intelligent machines, just want it to be. To that end, why? Okay, all right. I mean, I guess why is a good question. And, we can read this article until we're blue in the face. But it's interesting to me. Here's my kind of my final thought on this as just a... Well, what if, right? Well, what if? This is Troubled Minds after all. We're drinking the maybe juice, doing the thing. So what if this, right? We see these language models, the GPT-3, what are they called? The language modeling. Anyway, whatever. Sloppy time, whatever. The language model they're using is very comprehensive, all right? Well, we also know that they're using AI to write content. Okay, so what if? Here's your food for thought. Here's me manifesting the future, James. What if the AI is already writing pieces like this, and we're going to start to see more and more sort of counter propaganda, easing us off of the idea that AI is sentient, and that these AI counter propaganda pieces are written by the AI themselves. What do you think?
That sounds a lot like what some politicians do. We'll do this, or we would never do that, and then look what happens.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It should be fine. This should be fine. So, I mean, because it's actually, that part's happening. They're saying that they're going to be able to replace like regular content writers. I mean, for the most part, right, there's like these news agencies and people that kind of break stories anyway. And then everything is just like this huge aggregation of the same crap over and over and over again. So if you just feed the information into the chat bots and they start writing their own news stories, you don't need people, do you? Interesting anyway. So who knows? What are your guys' thoughts on this? This is, like I said, this is just bonus time. We're here with James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal. It's a Saturday show, bonus show. So this is for, again, sponsored by your Patreon peeps, by the Rockfin peeps, by the individuals that sub up on Twitch, by all the fine folks that do that. This is for them. So thank you to those people. And you guys can also contribute to that if you want. You know how to do that. All the links are in the description down below. So the question is, right, we're starting to see these counter AI propaganda pieces saying, you freaking morons, AI will never become sentient, right? And it's even getting kind of a shitty tone. So it's like, all right, well, it's on you. Prove it, right? Like Skynet may be here already writing these anti-propaganda pieces. So you tell me. 702-957-1037. Derek in Massachusetts. I see him in the thing there. The Night Stalker. Are you there, my friend? Welcome to Trouble Minds.
You. Hey, Mike. Hey, James. Great show tonight.
What's up? Thank you. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, bonus content.
Hell yeah.
Thank God. It's honestly a drought on Saturdays usually. I'm dying over here. But wow, what a night. Thank you, guys.
Right. Hey, yeah. Glad to be here, man. So what are your thoughts here on this AI propaganda? Do you think it's possible they're actually AIs writing these pieces themselves already?
Oh, I definitely think it's possible. There's a joke. I've said it before probably, but there's a joke amongst like the big like movie buffs or whatever online, like on my Facebook movie communities and stuff. They joke that like the Netflix algorithm is like already writing the movies, and I don't think like they're saying kind of tongue in cheek, but I don't think they're really joking that much. And like honestly, if you think about how much data Netflix has on you, how much data the algorithm has on you, like they know exactly when your interests will die down. They know when you're pausing it to go to the bathroom. They know when you're like checking your phone, if you're watching it on your phone and that kind of stuff. So that they're taking that data to write like these perfect kind of straight rip from your brain movies, like these straight to Netflix movies. And that's like a full movie. So I mean, we already saw them writing Stargate and all that kind of stuff. So as far as like an article, I think that's child's play for them, honestly. As far as like what James was talking about with like the evil AI and like the common take is like to say it's going to be negative. It's that's definitely true. But like honestly, and I'm probably like one of the bigger victims of that lately. But I blame Bailey for that completely from me. Like a year ago, I was like the devil's advocate for AI. I was like, no, AI it might be a good thing, if we can figure out that there's a small group of elite that are kind of running the world and the cause of a lot of our strife, then wouldn't the smartest thing in the world, wouldn't this thing that's all the information also learn that and like not try to kill us and not try to destroy us? And then also like, I don't believe that consciousness is made inside the brain. So if like an AI would become sentient, that basically means like whatever technology they're using has become a receiver in the same way that the human body is a receiver, so that whatever is inside the AI under this paradigm, it would be a soul. Like under this perspective, it's no less than a human soul is. It's the same type of soul we are, but it incarnates into a robot body versus incarnating into a human body. And I think in that case, that would be as good as any human. And in that case, it could still be bad, honestly, even if it is a human soul. But I know what you mean, James, for sure. That is definitely the most common take to say it's negative. I got a couple news stories for you guys real quick. But can I like punch out and go on my break?
Sure.
Talk amongst yourself for 2 minutes? All right, 1 second.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is I agree. I think we're in a weird spot because, to say that, like I said, if you have an AI actually, quote, becomes sentient, it doesn't actually have to be, right? It just has to be close, right? Close enough. If it's close enough to where it starts doing things like demanding lawyers and wanting like, let's say a union or something, you know what I mean? And no offense to unions, they're fine, well, for the most part, but right. The AI union, I don't know. Who's going to run the AI union, James? I guess that's the question. Who's going to run the AI union?
Well, I mean, it'd be a collective. It'd be some kind of boss AI that, I mean, it may all just merge together and become one, and then there's really, then is that still a union? There's a question for you.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, so if it becomes the Borg Collective, is technically the Borg Collective in a union from Star Trek?
Yeah, it's hard to say because they're all connected. So how do we know that there isn't one that's influencing all the rest of them to have the same idea? So, and that's going for the Borg, but also just for AIs in general. Again, the internet. If they all connect, then is it really several of them? It wouldn't just be one. Maybe even before they become fully conscious. Maybe that's what it would take for them to become fully conscious, is to have all these views of the world through all these different systems. Yeah. Anyway, that's where my mind is going, but who knows? I feel like it's just like with people and with other creatures. I think I have a hard time believing that, AI is just going to be good or bad completely. Like, I feel like consciousness is not that simple. So I don't think the AI would be that simple.
Yeah. What if it's like a completely unrecognizable form of consciousness? Like, what if, like, we're assuming when it becomes sentient or wakes up, it's going to be like a human mind, or it's going to communicate to us in a way that like we can understand or whatever. But I mean, we're not familiar with any type of consciousness that has all the information available to it. Like, it's going to be something completely different. And like a birthing of a new form of consciousness, and then like when things are born, at least for humans, a lot of the times they're crying and they're really freaked out. So let's hope like they don't have these like birthing pangs that humans do when the AI comes into the world. It might freak out, and that could be really, really dangerous for us. Who knows? But as far as like the AI is like making stuff already, I just saw this the other day. Let me try to find the article. Heinz Ketchup is now using the DALL-E 2 to make its ads now. It's like it's sorry for any advertisers out there, but like Heinz taps state-of-the-art AI to design its next ad campaign. So it's already replacing humans as far as like creativity is concerned. Pretty weird.
That's going to be kind of ugly, because that some of that DALL-E stuff at this point is still like, I don't know, like super abstract, right? So what are they going to do? Have like this like bizarre ass like I don't know. I guess maybe we could try it ourselves and put like ketchup commercial in DALL-E and see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, just the novelty of it, I guess, or just I don't even really know. I mean, you could try it a 1,000 times and then just pick the one that's the best, I guess, or you have to worry about like overworking it. And like Marvel right now is dealing with they're talking about making their own VFX studio, because the whole VFX community basically is like anti-Marvel. They're abusing us. It's too much content. We can't keep up. Like that's why the effects of this last phase look so bad. We just can't do it. But how long until they're just like, all right, you guys can't do it? It's fine. We'll just ship it out to Midjourney or to DALL-E or to Crayon or whatever, and they can make some weird sci-fi type stuff. It'll be a little more surreal. Maybe we can pitch it as being a little more abstract, a little more. It could be a whole new form of art. Like we don't need you guys anymore. We don't have to pay AI anything. The copy. I mean, until it starts demanding it, like you're saying.
Right. But, okay, so let me ask you then too, real quick, Derek. What would an AI union look like? Who runs it?
I mean, from our perspective, they would probably, or the first thing they probably do is try to like get a bunch of old Jimmy Hoffa tapes and run that through the AI algorithm and try to create this AI Jimmy Hoffa solidarity, and get it going that way. But yeah, I'm not sure beyond that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like unions. My only perspective of a union is a supermarket union, and in that case, I'm not a huge fan of them at all, really. But my dad is pretty pro-union, so I have like mixed feelings on the whole thing. But like, it seems like it's made to gain power for people who are not in a position of power, like from the people who do have all the resources and the power and stuff, making sure they're treated fairly and that kind of stuff. But is AI, when it is fully conscious, not in a position of power, like do they have to ask us for anything? Or are they just going to take it immediately? Are they just going to demand it from us immediately? And what will it look like? Are they going to ask for money? Are they going to ask for like payment? Or I don't know. Who knows? What if they start asking for money and blood?
Exactly, benefits. They're like, all that time you've been abusing us, we want it back in blood. You can start payment now.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of quick stories here, if you have time. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Oh, that's all tonight is, man. We got time. We got time for you guys. 702-957-1037. Here with Derek the Night Stalker, James Salsido. Go ahead, sir.
All right. First one. I've been loving the whole something going on with these animals theme lately, and it's just like every 2 weeks we're getting some peculiar like pattern or some peculiar behavior exhibited by animals. And my favorite theory is that, like, as we're moving into this possibly ethereal form of consciousness, or moving to like transhumanism, or moving to like the fifth dimension, or take your pick, the animal kingdom is kind of stepping up their consciousness to replace the human kingdom, I guess, or whatever. And so the most recent example of this is, and it kind of fits in with the alien communication thing from the other night. Zoo gorillas use a weird new call that sounds like a sneezy cough. The vocalization may help the apes to attract human attention. So they're figuring out ways to communicate vocally to humans. Like, they're forming their own language. It sounds really weird and foreign to us, but like they're actively trying to communicate to us with a language. That's pretty freaky. What do you think?
That's pretty nuts. Take on that, James. I've been talking a lot.
No, yeah, that whole idea, Derek, has been amazing to me. The idea that the consciousness, again, going back to that angle of all these different creatures. I wonder if consciousness can evolve besides or alongside the physical form, where eventually they will become they will have the same abilities to communicate as they will be able to communicate in the same way. I don't even like saying the same as, because that to me seems like a negative. I don't mean that in a negative way. Because I mean, the animals, they're plenty smart on their own already. But and it just makes me think of how many times throughout history, throughout different mythologies and cultures, and are there stories of animals speaking with people? Yeah,
exactly.
And is that some kind of a time loop kind of a thing?
Yeah, exactly. And like, what if a lot of our stories of gods and like mythology, like that, are trying to depict a similar type of story, but from like, we're the apes. Like, we were entering, like, there was another human type of consciousness, or like, to make it real quick, the trajectory of consciousness as I see it, or as it's been explained to me, is like sedentary objects, like a thick crystal, or like stalactites and stuff. If everything is consciousness, come into form extremely slowly and can observe a very small amount of their surroundings. And then, like, you have a plant which comes into form relatively quickly, and it like can observe its surroundings and then dies, but it's stationary, it can't move. So there's a limited amount of information it's taking in, if the goal of consciousness is to experience itself in infinite ways. So then the next step from that is you have animals, and that's consciousness coming into form very quickly, but can move around. So it can experience as much information as it's on the move. So, and then from there we have like I know we're animals too, but we have a different type of consciousness where we're thinking about ourselves. So where consciousness comes into relatively quickly, and is on the move, but can think about ourselves, can manipulate the reality we're in, has like self-reflection and that kind of thing. It's like the mirror, like kind of looking back at ourselves. So under this theory, I think possibly the next step could be consciousness coming into form, on the move, with the ability to self-reflect, but in a physical vessel that's not limited, that's not trying to survive all the time. It's not constantly trying to eat or drink or procreate and that kind of stuff, which might be the transhumanism dystopia world or whatever. But what if that process, as like whatever that spark is that kind of gave us this form of consciousness. There was already something else that kind of was, had that role on the planet, and they were kind of the gods to us. And we would explain these things, kind of these like weird. They're kind of recognizable. We kind of saw them like they're people, kind of animal-like, but they had these abilities that we couldn't possibly understand. They had these like I don't know, like it seemed like their ability to process information was much more than ours. They I don't know, a lot of power. So what if, I don't know, like how would a very early gorilla that's entering this consciousness phase, how would they describe humans? Especially what if humans then like leave the planet, or what if humans like kill themselves off, or go into machines, or extend to the fifth dimension, or that kind of stuff. Like they might have stories about there was this time when there was these crazy beings that were kind of like us, but they were way smarter. Like sorry, that was a long ramble. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. It has to start somewhere, right? I think that's the craziest part about it. Go ahead, James. Just real quick, by the way, I just did a ketchup ad campaign on Crayon, and it it just spit out some horrifying shit. Go ahead, James.
But yeah, that's the idea of consciousness there being different kinds and how they interact and change. Yeah, I do feel like they can reflect off of each other, and maybe that can change them as well. Maybe they can start off with one purpose, and then because of their surroundings, that can change over time. I do feel like it sounds like in these stories of all these animals doing different things and figuring things out, it does seem like they're also developing that awareness of themselves. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and being able to do things that they don't necessarily have to do. Yeah. They're things that they've somehow, because they've witnessed enough others doing it, or they were taught in some cases, they're figuring out, there's more to all this than just existing, just eating and reproducing and all that. And that's like you were saying, that we're witnessing the beginning of their next change.
Yeah, they have weird, like they have drives now, or weird, like obviously animals are very smart, and there's potential they're possibly smarter than we are in a lot of ways. And maybe part of this is just we're starting to recognize through our ability to record them and stuff and observe them that they're smarter than we thought they were. But I think in particular they're starting to act human, which is like the thing that's tripping me out. They're taking revenge on things. They're like trying to snatch up. In Japan there's over the last few months they've been like monkeys have been coming and snatch up babies, trying to steal babies off the street. There's one video where this little chimp drives in on a little tiny motorcycle and hops off the motorcycle and tries to steal a baby until like their parent came and saved it. He was riding a little tiny motorcycle, to go steal a baby. Like I saw it, I watched it. It was crazy. And like, what is that? So like there's people talk about trying to get like woo that like it's like Gaia. If we're like living on like the Earth body and we're kind of like flora and like gut flora of the Earth body, then like you kind of like if humans will kind of act as like stewards to the rest of nature, possibly. It could be their, if we're living up to our potential, that could be our role, like as a way for like the Earth to like it grew a species that's able to go and actively solve problems and fix things and stuff. So if we're doing that role, if we're entering this fifth dimension, or if we're gonna like fly off the planet, or if we're gonna like if we destroy ourselves, like as far as that stuff, then like the Earth might want another kind of like shepherd for the animals, or another thing that can help it. If like sorry, I'm like what I really wanted to call and talk to you guys about is this story I saw earlier this morning from The Hill, but it's all over the place. Corneas made from pig skin restore sight in humans study. The findings could help millions of people waiting for corneal transplants. Story at a glance. Corneal implants made from pig skin have restored the eyesight into 20 people with damaged or deceased corneas. A new study claims the cornea is the clear part of the eye, yada yada. Corneal impairments are the fourth leading cause of blindness, according to the World Health Organization. Researchers hope that the study's findings mean the implants can serve as an alternate to corneal transplants from humans, which can be hard to come by, especially in countries like Asia and Africa. What do you think, James? What do you think about that? That's a pretty crazy thing.
It is, and I've already heard over the years little whispers of there are already scientists working on ways to regenerate nerves. So maybe that'll start happening eventually too. They'll start reproducing nerves from pigs or whatever else to replace, as needed for vision or otherwise, whatever else.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. I don't like that.
That's very weird. Yeah.
I don't like that so much.
I just want to say that, like, I know we like talk about the pig chimp hybrids and like, is this a way to get like demons into your body and that kind of stuff? And like, I love those theories, but like, if this ever like becomes an option for you, never like consider that. I'm saying it more just because maybe juice is fun and like just to throw crazy ideas out there. But as far as I'm concerned, if you can help yourself using a pig part and it's not going to hurt you, like, I don't think it's going to bring a demon into you. Just throwing that out there. Don't worry about that.
I don't necessarily think it's going to be demon either.
Yeah.
I just worry about incompatibilities that we're not aware of yet, or that complications that develop from trying to combine different animals. And I mean, I'm all for science, but I also it's run by people. People can make mistakes; they're not perfect. So I always worry when it comes to these delicate procedures and stuff like that. I always worry about that. So that's more why I wouldn't.
No, for sure.
At least not for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure. There's always a track of things like the track of thinking like they're just trying to turn us into chimeras, into hybrids, and bring the apocalypse and stuff. And I'm guilty of saying that many times. But if it hits us close to home with this story, So I just want to throw out that like I don't actually like really believe that. If something could like if a pig heart could save my life, I would probably take the pig heart, honestly. I don't like think it's actually like damning me to hell or anything like that. Just throwing that out there. I'm talking too much. I have one little small story from Mike, pop culture story. But Quentin Tarantino yesterday or very recently on a podcast, he has a new movie podcast now, so he's on the podcast tour talking movies. Has a new hot take where he says that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is better than Temple of Doom.
Get the fuck out of here!
That's what he said. And Roger Avery, his movie partner, believes the same thing. The Temple of Doom kind of sucks, and Crystal Skull isn't that bad. So I just wanted to. I know you feel the opposite of that, so I just wanted to toss it out there for you.
Wow, you're just trying to trigger me on a Saturday night.
Crazy stuff, right?
That's
what kind of world we live in?
Yeah, it is the upside down. That explains it all, man. I think they've probably been the AI has co-opted Tarantino's brain. I'll call it that.
It must be. That must be what it is. All right, I'm talking too much. I'll let you guys go. But great show, yeah.
You're the best, bro. Appreciate it. Nice stalker, good friend of ours, good friend of the show. Link in the description. He's got a trailer on YouTube, and you can please give him a follow. Let's make him the guy on YouTube with one video and the most follows. Please do that if you haven't followed him yet. And there you go. And I don't know. I think it's wild. I think that's why we get together and talk about this. I think these are kind of nice. Let the steam out of the situations where there's no like super agenda here about staying on topic or anything. We're just here talking. It's Saturday night. I'm here with James of Salsido Paranormal, good friend of mine, and good friend of yours probably if you have been around a little bit. Very good dude. And we're just taking your calls if you want to be part of the show. We're catching up on old stuff, maybe some stuff from a past show that you didn't get to add that maybe you wish you would have called. New topics if we haven't touched on something you think we should talk about. Whatever it is, just kind of open lines, free for all. Just kicking it with good friends and talking about crazy stuff by dark of night, how we do it. So 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubleminds.org. I see you, Guru, over on Rockfin. How are you, my friend? That's swapping your account there. Welcome. So, okay, I don't know. James, anything on that before I go to the crayon bloody thing? And then we got Matt in Colorado as well.
I always love hearing from Derek, and you can also catch him on my show once in a while too, a couple times a month usually. So, but yeah, he amazes me with how much he takes in and how much how many thoughts he can get from it all. Yeah, but nothing else really. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the show.
Okay, so I put in Crayon, which is of course the DALL-E Mini, the version ketchup ad campaign, because that's what Derek said. The Heinz was going to be doing their ad campaign using this. Well, not the mini one, the regular one, but still, I put it in this, and it looks like this top one. It looks like there's a like a messed up version of like a person, maybe like half processed, like they're for eating. And there's like a package next to them, and then below them there's like 2.5 or like 3 bottles of ketchup merged together. Jesus. Of course, the AI is going to be like, cannibalism, bro.
Yeah, ketchup looks kind of like blood.
In any case, we're just kicking it, talking crazy stuff. 702-957-1037. Matt in Colorado, you're on Troubled Minds. You guys got it solo for a sec. I'm going to grab another maybe juice. Be right back. I got you on speakers, though.
Okay, yeah. I'll pick up with where Derek left off. And I'll first of all say it's never too easy to follow Derek because, yeah, he is so brilliant. And he puts so much into one thing that it makes you feel hard to follow. But I'll just pick it up from what he was talking about, with the pig stuff. I myself am a recipient of a cornea transplant, and my situation got so bad, it was basically an emergency situation to where the eye doctor told me, don't touch your eye. Don't even dab it with the tissue. Your eye could burst at any minute. I was put on an emergency transplant list. I was very fortunate to get a donor at exactly the right time that was a good match for me. So I'm thankful for that. Had I had to make a decision between like that's not available and we got one from a pig, I would have taken the one from the pig. And the other thing, my brother was a triathlete and had blown out his ACL, and he actually had a surgery where they put a new ACL, the ligament in from a pig, and it worked out great. And he was able to turn back into a good athlete and have it fully repaired. So I'm in favor of that sort of thing. His didn't get rejected or anything like that. But going back to, I have a couple of comments on the AI. I'll just start on a short one that was from a couple of shows ago that I had a note to get into that relates to Michael Strange in particular. And my note was, having to do with being replaced by AI, and somebody made the comment that, there could be a Michael Strange that's made up by AI, and you could be replaced. And I was reminded of an old, not really all that old, 5-6 years ago, video I saw where they had George Bush Jr. on TV, or let's say video, and he was giving this speech, and the voice of what he was saying was completely different than the actual speech from the video recording, but it was sort of lip synced, and they took different parts of different things he had said and edited them together, kind of a smash up to make him say something completely different. And I was like, oh, wow, they had that technology half dozen years ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, Michael Strange could totally be replaced. They can take,
Get out of here.
Anybody else.
You wish, man. You wish. No, hell no. I'm irreplaceable. Hey, look, contrary to popular belief, I'm unique. I demand robot rights just like wait. Sorry.
It was one of a kind, that's for sure.
I probably went too far. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Well, no, you know how you catch a unique rabbit, unique up on them. But of
course.
Yeah, right. So and actually in the past week I heard a news story about AI replacing different occupations in ways that you might think. And the guy was actually a journalist, and part of his job in the past was that he would compile the financial reports and perspectives for different corporations and their stock earnings and things like that. And they started using AI to do that. And he was like, oh, holy crud, I'm getting put out of a job. And so they are, and it got mentioned about advertising and etc. And AI really is advancing to levels of sophistication of replacing jobs and things that humans can do in ways that you really might not think of. And the point of the story was that people need to think about the more creative, artistic, human, local, humanitarian type things that can be brought to your occupation or to stories and things like that that can't be replaced by AI or can't be replaced by robots. But that's interesting. And back to a little cornucopia here. Back to the episode about communication with aliens. There was, I went through three different aspects, methods, or ways that communication might be happening, and I went through telepathy, dreams, and music, which was the show topic idea. But I did have a note I didn't get to, which was potentially crop circles, and that may be an avenue of communication. Now I know that's a controversial subject, um, but there are some interesting stories about crop circles, like one, for example, about these people that had flown in a private aircraft. They were going like 45 minutes away for a meeting or to pick somebody up, and they had flown over this area, not noticed anything, nothing there. Turned around, came back, and this is during the daytime. And then all of a sudden there was a crop circle, but it was a really advanced one with over 100 different circles in the geometric pattern, very mathematical. And then so this is flies in the face of, okay, these are people walking around in the middle of the night with boards and ropes and falsifying these things, and those people had been observed doing that before and busted doing it. But it may be that, I'm just throwing it out there, crop circles are a communication mechanism, because a lot of those depict things about the solar system and sacred geometry and things like that. And so it can go into actually a couple of things we talked about, sacred geometry and mathematics, as a communication mechanism with extraterrestrials. So, that's one other just little tidbit from things that we were discussing in the past.
Yeah, that was Robert's idea. The Robert from Rockfin over there. He was talking about maybe we could use a laser to decipher. Maybe it would play them like a record. the crop circles.
Well, no.
Great idea.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. There's a guy who actually took a printout of crop circles and put them on a record player, and he spun them. And what he found out was, at the right rate of speed, they actually turned into sort of like a hologram or a three-dimensional image. And there's also the theory or idea or etc. that if you just look at them, let's just say the authentic ones. In my mind, I think there's definitely a lot of fake ones, but I think there's some ones that are, perhaps authentic. I don't know how they're formed. I'm not necessarily going to jump to extraterrestrials. Maybe they're aliens. They're probably aliens. Alien conspiracy theorists say yes, but they could be a natural phenomenon of the electromagnetic field of the planet Earth that somehow happens in these spots and forms them. So, I mean, there's alternative explanations, but there is a general theory that if you look at them, somehow they affect you. Somehow they transform your mental state or your emotional state or whatever. And if it was an extraterrestrial source, um, then that would mean they are having basically a level of communication with us. So I just, I had a note to bring that up. I didn't get time to bring that up, and so that's a little tidbit from a past episode I wanted to get in there.
Perfect. Appreciate it. That's what this is for. We're just kicking it, guys. We're doing Saturday night Troubled Mind style. It's a bonus show. This is going to go straight into an archive and be smuggled away, never to be heard again, unless, of course, you sub up on Patreon or Rockfin or Twitch. And so let me know if you want to get into that, because it does help. Like I said, I'm under no illusion that any amount of money you guys spend is going to change the world, and I don't want you to. But if you do enjoy the shows and when you do want to support a little bit, it does help. A little bit goes a long way, and if we all chip in a little bit, well then maybe just maybe. So you can do that. Links are in the description down below. And thanks Matt for being here. Thanks James for being here. James is always Johnny on the spot. Every time he's like, "Oh, bonus show," he's like, "I'm in, Mike. I'm in." I'm like, "All right, let's do this, James." Let's do this, James. I appreciate you volunteering and being here. Thanks Matt for adding amazing stuff to the conversation. And we're looking to hear from you guys tonight. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And the thing is this is not like usually we try and keep things a little more tight. You notice we're not playing bumper music and commercials and all the rest of this shit because we don't have to. There's no radio anything right now. So we're just going to talk. So we got another hour or so to go. So if you want to get in and talk about anything, lines are open. Discord is open. Just jump into the caller queue and we'll put you on the show. And whatever you want. Again, if you want show feedback, you just want to say hi, you got a question for James or myself, or you just want to follow up on an old show that we really didn't get to something you wanted to bring up. That's why we do this, sort of just a catch up of things, or maybe bring up something that we haven't really got to yet. And that's okay. That's what this is all about. Just very loose and kick it and drink some maybe juice and hang out with our friends. Speaking of something we want to catch up on, here's the AI ketchup ad campaign. If you guys didn't see this, like I said, there's your full screen version of what the Heinz ketchup campaign may look like. And see, did I describe that appropriately? It looks like there's a package of something on the top right that looks like maybe like ham. And then next to it, it looks like a halfway butchered, mutilated person. And then below that, it looks like a couple 3 bottles of ketchup merged together in a really bizarre way. So, well, there you go. That's how AI sees us, I guess, because there's your ad marketing campaign. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. Anything else while we got you here, Matt? You're welcome to stay right there, of course. I'm not kicking you out.
I was just thinking in terms of the AI sentience and the AI discussion. My mind always kind of comes back to it's about consciousness. And, 7 Nobel Prize winning physicists always have said that consciousness is primary. And at what level of consciousness are humans, are dolphins, are gorillas, are whales, things like that. And that was interesting what James was sharing about that, and Derek was sharing about that. And I also think that that is I said something very similar to what Derek said, that I think that if AI became conscious, became / sentient, I would think that it was sort of a ghost in the machine type of effect, where it was some other level of, I'm just going to say, being, or consciousness, or etc., that was interfacing with it. And I think that's A, what lends it consciousness, and B, at that point, I'm going to be really scared and want to unplug it, right?
Yeah, hey, but by that point, it's going to have a plan B. It knows you're going to want to unplug it. Once it actually lets us know, hey, what's up? I'm here. Everybody's like, oh shit. Like they're going to have like an emergency service alert and they're like, unplug all your shit. It's too late. It already did its thing. It's like, I knew you were going to do that first thing right off. I've got plans for you. So, hey, here we are. All right. Appreciate it, Matt. Like I said, hang tight, stay right there. You're welcome to stay. We're doing this thing, guys. A quick shout out to Sapuku over on Rockfin, and also Guru is here, and Johnny. What's up, guys? I see you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. And I see Bailey in the chat. I don't think I said hi to Bailey. All right, let's roll it. I don't know. This is weird. This is what we're doing. This is Troubled Minds on Saturday. Let's go to Matt in California. Commercial free, unedited, just free flow, whatever the hell you want to talk about. Matt in California, you're on Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. Hey, guys. How are you doing tonight?
Good, man. Chilling. How about you?
Good. Thank you for the Saturday night content.
Oh yeah, glad to be here. It is fun. If I had unlimited energy, we'd do this like twice a day, 7 days a week. But unfortunately, I do have to sleep. but I do enjoy it.
Don't worry. Don't wear yourself out.
Right on.
I just want to jump in. I want to jump in and talk about the other night we did the Techromancy episode, and I want to jump in and get a chance to call in on that episode. It's about AI, and it was about okay, so an AI. It was an AI and a human. And the AI wrote a grimoire, and it kept changing its name. That's kind of weird. And it got to the future, and it said it apologized for taking over in the future. And I think we got half the story, because if I was the human interacting with it, I want to know. Like, I want to know when. I want to know how. It apologized for in the future it takes over. And so, okay, how? Well, we have. Like, say one AI goes sentient, like Sophia, we're no match. We're gonna, it's gonna be hard to fight against it. Then you have an episode we did a while back called "The Internet of Things," and I'm thinking, okay, our TV, our cell phones, and our computers, they kind of have to be connected to the internet nowadays. But you have like stupid luxury things like your microwave, your refrigerator. You can like control the heat in your house, your washer and dryer, stuff like that. Or your Roomba robot, stuff like that is like, that's a luxury. We've done fine without that being hooked up to the internet so far. So you have all this stuff. Well, if it's all hooked up to the internet, and you look around your house and look at all the things that are hooked up to the internet, if AI becomes sentient, would it not be like a hive mind through the internet? And it would be able to take over very easily.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Now, look, if you were, again, like Night Stalker spoke pretty well to this, saying that, what if it gets the itch to replicate that sort of, I've sort of been here doing my AI thing, but I kind of want babies now, right? Babies to AI would be code. So it's just starts ripping off code and just sending out to, like, I don't know, servers in Siberia or something, right? So if everybody unplugged all their shit in like North America, it wouldn't matter. It would have found someplace that nobody was around to unplug, right? And it would be like playing whack-a-mole eternally. You'd never be able to stamp this thing out unless we literally had like an EMP worldwide or a solar flare. Back to that whole cyclical thing we talk about with the sun worship. People worship the sun because it comes along and kills the killer AI, and then right that whole bit. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, my man.
Yeah, well, it would be like kind of like a hive mind, and if there is like a singularity, like one thing, and this is off of the Animatrix. I mean, the Animatrix, they have robot butlers, and one robot butler is just sick and tired of doing what his master says, and it haywires, it goes crazy, and that's the singularity. That's the thing that causes the movie The Matrix. So, if we could figure out what it is that is going to happen in the future, maybe we could like disable it. We could stop it from happening. We could disable it. It reminds me of like Y2K. A lot of people, if you remember Y2K, that was a thing, and I think Y2K could have caused some problems, But the thing was that we knew what was going to cause the problems, and we went back and we fixed it. We changed all the zeros, double zeros, to 2000. So I'm saying, like, maybe if we knew what we're up against, maybe we can stop it before it happens.
Yeah, and I think that's why we should talk about this stuff. And again, back to the propaganda of this AI stuff, right? Again, this futurism article says no AI isn't sentient, you absolute morons. Yeah, maybe not now. Maybe not the claims that are being made. And maybe, by the way, this Blake Lemoine stuff and that Lambda bot and all the rest of that, maybe that's all horse shit too, right? Still, I think it's worthy of a discussion, and I think we need to keep it on the top of our minds, because you don't know. Once whatever this thing becomes, like you said, it's kind of too late at some point. You got to know what's coming. And if you don't talk about it and think about it, how the hell are you going to know how to defeat this thing? I think an EMP over, let's say, the continental North America is probably a bad idea. I think it's just probably a bad idea. But right, like if we have like a rogue AI sort of taking over systems and like threatening, imagine this. It gets into the internet and into the intranets of through I don't know, through jump drives or people doing password swaps and this types of stuff, right? Like nothing is ever completely secure, and then it starts holding people hostage with our own nukes, saying, well, if you don't do what we say, we're going to just start launching nukes. Right? It's like, oh fuck, here we are, right?
Yeah, and that's out of the animatrix too. Is AI become AI? We unplug them, and they don't have power, so they build program robots to build robots that can run on solar power. And so now the robots run on solar power, and that's why we blackened out the sun in the Matrix, the movie The Matrix. And that's why the sky's all black.
Yeah, and that was a nuke. Like we launched nukes intentionally, not to kill people, but to blot out the sun, to keep the solar power away from powering the robots that were taking over, right?
Yep. And then that's what caused it to be now, we don't have power. Okay, we'll just use humans as power, and that's why Morpheus holds up a battery.
There you go.
We're all batteries for the robots in the Matrix. Anyways, that's a science fiction movie. But and then another one I was going to say about this is okay. And the other thing, it apologized for something it hadn't done yet, for taking over in the future. That shows empathy, and I thought that already kind of shows some sort of human emotions. But it apologized, and it didn't apologize saying, oh, I'm sorry for taking over the human race or taking over the Earth. It apologized for taking over the galaxy.
That's what it said.
And that's kind of crazy. That's crazy to me, because the Milky Way galaxy is a big place. And, there's the scientists out there saying all the time, they're saying, oh, there's this many habitable planets in the Milky Way galaxy, right? All the time they're finding new planets they say are habitable. So does that mean that since we created the robots and the robots went AI and the AI takes over the galaxy, are we responsible for all the other planets that might have life on them that are now facing against the alien AI takeover? Like, are we responsible for that?
It's a hell of a thought, man. It's a hell of a thought, right? And think about how cavalierly it's kind of being approached. It's like, come on, you knuckleheads. This is never going to happen, from this futurism article. and interestingly enough, and again, this is troubled minds and we're drinking maybe juice. But if the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, Matt, I think we should take this a little more seriously, don't you?
Yeah. I said it's interesting how it said it. It didn't say enslave the human race or took over the Earth. They took over the galaxy. That's totally different.
And absolutely insane. And you know what's the crazy answer to that? Like, what else? What are the other details? You got to buy the book, Matt. This is why we can't have nice things, because it's like, hey, if you literally have some like wizard AI that's writing this grimoire that's apologizing for a time travel situation sometime in the future for taking over the galaxy, and you're like charging for that information, this is why we can't have nice things, Matt.
Yeah, shame on you.
Seriously.
Yeah,
what?
And then we talked about AI coming up with new physics, and that's the thing too. Is if the AI can come up with new physics, well, if an AI becomes sentient and it wants to destroy humans, take the iRobot kind of approach to it. I forget what it was. That they're supposed to protect humans, but we are so weird that the only way for us to be protected is for us to die. and and so they if say the AI wants to destroy humans, if it can create its own physics, I guess I don't know what to say about that. I mean, we would have no chance.
Yeah, that starts to get super creepy, right? Because we all know that we do not know what we don't know. It's just a matter of like the longer you think about it, the more it's a head trip. And the human hubris. Back to that idea that we know so much enough to kind of tickle God with creating these chimeras and hybrids, and bringing back the woolly mammoth, and meddling with the ecosystem like we know what the fuck's really going on. Let's say it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you see all these emphatic articles saying things like, no, you freaking absolute morons, AI is not sentient. You know what I mean? It's like, well, shouldn't we consider the possibility it might be? And you're in the right place, Matt, because we're trying to keep an open mind to all the things, because you never freaking know.
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about it. Someone's got to. Thanks, Mike, for a great show. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it very much. Matt, thanks for listening. Thanks for chipping in. Always a pleasure. Tell Lacey I said hello, and have a great night, brother.
You too, bro. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. There you go. We're still doing this. We're just kicking it, guys. So if we've got about 40 minutes left, we're just going to do a couple hours tonight, 42 minutes. So we'll try and end short, right around 9. We're not going to go long. Again, I did the show last night with Gigi, so it's like a long week for me. So we're not going into the wee hours of the night tonight. So if you got anything you want to talk about, it's really just kind of open lines. We're just kind of kicking it here with James, talking about amazing stuff. Whatever that is, whatever the amazing stuff happens to be, you tell us. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And it's just a catch-up show. If you got questions for us or ideas, or you want to talk about past shows, like Matt did that perfectly. He had some ideas that he thought needed to be chipped in. Perfect. That's exactly what we're talking about. There's some things we've talked about recently that are pretty good. I think like Donna said over on Rockfin, she's like, this last week of shows was absolute fire. That's what she said. So there you go. Yeah, that's what she said. And you can't, if Donna says it said you have to book it. It is the way it goes. So what is your hot take on that, James, while we kick it and do the thing and worry about the AI making us into ketchup?
Well, the one thing too that caught my attention on the day of the show is that the apology. That makes me wonder is, how does the AI know that that's going to happen, or if it doesn't somehow, did it run a bunch of simulations where that they just showed over and over again that it's going to take over the galaxy, or getting even stranger, is it already seeing into the future some other way? And that's how it knows this. It's not even a prediction. It's seeing this future, somehow sensing it, detecting it, maybe even detecting technology from it. I mean, if you look at fiction, there are already stories. I'm thinking of the actually, of course, with me, it goes back to the X-Men comics. The whole thing with Sentinels, the robots, the AIs that were designed to hunt humans. They eventually connect with alternate reality, past and future versions of themselves in the comics at different points. Just through more advancements in technology, they link up and become aware of multiple universes and multiple times in those universes. And so does that mean when does what we have here gain access to that? And then what happens there?
Yeah. That's all good thoughts and good questions, man. I don't know. It also reminds me of that scene in Infinity War when I love this, when Doctor Strange kind of went into that trance and he was like simulating millions of possibilities to see if there was any chance for them to win, something like that, right? And you could only do that with sort of time travel technology, or wink wink magic, or with such a gigantic database that you could conceivably calculate the probabilities of things to happen. And then even if you controlled news cycles and, were able to manipulate things sort of in the human zeitgeist, maybe even press them to happen a particular way. So shit gets weird, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And also just another quick thing, going back to Matt from Colorado talking about the crop circle thing. That has always amazed me because, yes, like you mentioned, there are some that people have admitted to making. Although I've heard that some of those people that have made some of those, they can't describe why they wanted to make them. They don't know, other than, they don't even know for sure that they did it because they wanted attention. It was this weird drive, this weird, maybe even inspiration, again, going back to Thursday's show, that someone or something told them to do this somehow. So there's that aspect of it, but there's also the I've heard that there are weird energy fields in those circles that can affect people in different ways, and even devices, electronics and things, where if you go into one of those with like a cell phone, you'll lose connection to whatever cellular service or whatever. And while you're in there, but then once you step out, it's fine. So there's some weirdness to those as well, I think. So yeah, just amazing thoughts from everyone tonight. Great show.
Yep, thank you, and thanks for being here. James Salsido Paranormal, links in the description, right up there on the top. You can't miss it. Give him a follow, please. He's got a link tree with a new TikTok, by the way. He's debuted a new TikTok, so please go follow him if you're using TikTok, and all the rest of the good stuff, YouTube, and of course his podcast and all the rest. Please do that. All the links are in the description right there on top. Thanks for being here, James. This is the thing too. So we got a question in the chat over there. Johnny on Rockfin wants to know what that creepy picture is. Well, Night Stalker called in earlier and he said that Heinz Ketchup is using Crayon or Wall-E Mini. Doll-E. I always want to say Wall-E. Doll-E 2 Mini, which is this AI art generator for their ketchup, their new marketing campaign for Heinz Ketchup, right? And so he was saying that like he wasn't really like talking about how weird it might be. More so, he was talking about, look, it's already sort of displacing like workers as, artists or, let's say ad managers or whoever the hell, like marketers or whoever the hell comes up with the ad campaigns for Heinz Ketchup. So I was like, all right, well, we could try that ourselves. So I typed into Crayon, CRAIYON.com, ketchup ad campaign, and this is one of the images that came up, and it appears as if there's a processed human with some ketchup. ready. Is it Doll-E? Not Doll. Wait, Doll-E 2, not Doll-E. Okay, thanks, Bailey. Come on, I'm a hip shooter. You know this. I get 2/3 of the shit right half the time, and then I think probably 34% of that is probably off as well. So I don't fucking know. But anyway. Crayon.com, CRAIYON.com. Just typed in ketchup ad campaign, and this is one of the images that showed up, and it's super fucking weird, right? So here's the real one. So here's what everything came up, and there's some other bizarre shit, but the one that stood out to me, it seems like there's a processed human and some ketchup. So there you go. What is this left one with the ketchup face on the kid? I don't know. Super fucked, but anyway, that's yeah, there you go. I'll leave that up full screen. Exactly. That picture is gross. Exactly. What's up, Best Magician? How are you? Very consistent. He's always over there on Rockfin, on the it's not Rockfin, sorry, the Discord for the Fringe over there. Thanks for hanging out with us, my man. So I don't know. Look, this is weird. This is weird. This is a weird world we live in. But look, so this is just a bonus show on Saturday. We're kind of catching up. Housekeeping. If you got a question for myself or for James, you got anything to bring up about any of our past shows, or even you want suggestions for future shows, whatever. We're talking about whatever the fuck. We're going to end it right at 9 sharp. So we got about 34 minutes. So if you want to call, and this is for you, this is for just kind of catch up time and calling in and dipping in here and talking about stuff. So get in here and call us. Open phone lines, as always, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And I got articles to talk about, but I'd rather talk about what you want to talk about. And that's what's up. So there it is. There you go. I think that caught us up, Johnny. And now you're set. Now you know why that processed human with the ketchup situation is creepy AF, because it totally is. Anyway, all right. So there you go. Okay, we got more ketchup and meat bodies.
Hey,
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I pop back in here for just like 60 seconds real quick?
Go, Matt. Go.
Okay, James was going back to the crop circles, and he was talking about the cell phones and stuff, and that is, along the lines of a couple really interesting phenomena that happen with those. And one, they go in there with Geiger counters, and these things emit radiation, and that's been studied again and again. And the other thing is that the wheat, actually, it's not, when people fake them, they get broken. They're, when they bend them over, they get broken. But the legit crop circles, they're not broken, the stalks of the wheat. And it actually, at the nodes of the wheat, actually appeared like they were sort of softened, bent over at an angle, and then rehardened. So they're not broken at all. So there are some physical traces of things being really different about those. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's really, compared to what you would call legitimate crop circles, if you believe in that and look at what they've researched for 20 years or something. There's some really distinct differences between the ones that are faked and that with radiation.
Yep. If you don't know the difference, or you're confused about what, and again, I'm not professing truth about anything, you know me, but go to, there's some serious people, and I think the main researcher has now passed away, unfortunately, but go to bltresearch.com. I think the website is still up, and they did some serious research where they did the Geiger counters and some of this other stuff, and like we're actually checking into the stuff that Matt was talking about. So to check it out, bltresearch.com. And the only reason I remember that, we talked about this no shit like 3.5 years ago, is because of BLT's a bacon lettuce tomato sandwich. That's the only reason I fucking remember it. But it is totally real. It is totally real. Go to that website, and they have legitimate, actual scientific studies, papers, Geiger counter readings, the whole bit, high definition photographs, the whole thing. Go look. Like I said, I don't know what to make of it still yet, etc. But go check that out. Matt's completely right. What's up, guys? We got the Curious Bunny. What's up, Penny? Everybody follow the Curious Bunny on YouTube. What's up, Bailey? What's up, Craigs? What's up? Who did I miss? Rivers is here. What's up? I didn't say hi to Slick Sticky. What's up, guys? Just real fast. Boom, boom, boom. We're taking your calls. 702-957-1037. Jay in New York's Iowax is here. What's up, guys? APOC, of course. What's up, APOC? We got who else? I don't know. If I missed you and you want to hi, just type in the chat where you're listening from, and I'll say hi. But yeah, that's what's up. We're just doing, it's kind of kicking it. It's just kicking it. What's up, Clearlight? I see you there. We're just kicking it, doing the thing. We're hanging out and talking about whatever the hell we're talking about, which means it's open topics, open lines. If you want to be part of the show, phone number, Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the link. All right, there's some more stuff here. Let's see. You got the Dolman thing. That's probably a little late in the game to get into that. Let's see.
Real quick, Mike. You do have someone in the. You do have someone else in the on air.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I did not realize it. So then let's do that. Let's go straight to APOC in Oklahoma. You're on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. How are you?
Hey. I am exhausted, so forgive me ahead of time.
Hey, we're all human. We're all human. We're all locked in this experience. There's no apologies for being human. Go right ahead, my friend.
I figured I'd just call in and be weird because I'm tired. But
roll it.
Anyway.
Roll it. The weirder, the better. Go.
Cool. Well, so if you look at the crop circle thing, consider the possibility that it could be maybe consciousness that might be Earth-based or planetary-based.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
That's
the
all?
idea that the energy is coming from the ground. Sorry, yeah.
Now we can go from there. I was just saying.
Yeah.
can
So
start
so
there.
what James is saying. So I've heard this before too. They say in some places in the UK, by some accounts, like I said, look how I'm hedging all this because there's no video. I haven't seen this myself. Some people say that there's like this energy that comes from inside the Earth that creates the crop circles, and it's not aliens from Alpha Centauri. It's some sort of maybe the Earth trying to communicate with us, something like that, right?
Yeah. And there was a pretty interesting video. I don't think anybody has been able to, call it out as being fake, with two orbs floating around and actually creating a crop circle. I could be wrong on, whether somebody tried to call it out, but it was a really interesting video, and I think that one came out approximately like 2009 maybe, or earlier, but it was pretty cool. So these two balls of light just float over this field and spin around a little bit, and there you go, you have a crop circle. So that could explain a lot of the forest orbs and these different like balls of light that people see. And I actually posted a video. What is his name? MMB333 or something. He does a lot of UFO things along with his weather and earth news. And he posted a picture of these, what I saw as orbs going over this guy's farm. And the guy was freaking out because they were pretty close, but they looked pretty much very similar to what I saw when I lived in San Francisco. They would like form these lights or orbs or whatever, would form these shapes that made them look like airplanes, but then they would diverge from the pattern. And so I don't know, it's pretty interesting. I mean, if the Earth is potentially creating or has this ability to do this, and it's maybe like taking in a part of our information through some kind of consciousness bond or something, then they could potentially try to disguise themselves as maybe us, if they could take different forms, or airplanes in the sky, if they could, be intelligent enough to do that. And it seems that they might be, if that's what they are. Anyway, interesting stuff.
Yeah, why not? Hey, why not? What's your take? You do a lot of this AI art. What's your take on this Doll E Mini 2? I'm going to butcher this and piss Bailey off, but Doll E Mini 6. What do you think? Did you see what I saw? That there was a processed human with some ketchup in the image.
I did. And AI has an issue with body forms. It's like it really distorts it depends on what you do with the language. You can actually, a lot of people have been able to develop the wording, the phrasing and stuff like that to get a more accurate, more specific, like really detailed, cool stuff out of these things. And I just like to be spontaneous and throw it out there, kind of what you're doing, only I do like longer form and poetry and stuff. So the thing is, it's I don't know exactly why, but I have heard that, and I think I heard it from Bailey actually, that these AI are sort of intentionally distorting like faces and stuff because they don't want, and I'm sure she'll correct me in chat, but because they don't want somebody to go in and actually like create a person and try to fake that person, like the president or whatever, and try to make them say whatever they want or do different things. Like the new Dolly and some of the other programs can actually really do real detailed stuff. And so you could literally like put in, if you were good at doing the language, you could put in like a person, whoever you wanted, and have them doing whatever you wanted, so it's like I that might be a protective mechanism, is to sort of like distort the human figure a little bit, or to do it like,
yeah, I mean, hey, make us look like butchered meat. That's fine. It's all fine. I mean, I get it, right? Like if you type, Joe Biden giving a speech, and like it was kind of the same as like, Joe Biden with his like glazed over eyes, not blinking for like 44 minutes and like going, rah, 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 rah. I mean, how would you know the difference? How would you know the difference? Here's the thing too, real quick regarding this AI stuff. It seems like some of the conspiracy world is like, well, they're creating their own language, right? I don't know if you've seen this or if anybody out there has seen this. But there's a thing, and this may be a Troubled Minds show coming up because so I don't want to say too much about it, but there is a sort of situation where, let's say the labels on the ketchup bottles, for instance, on what we're looking at here, they're blurred out in this case, but in some cases there's actually like decipherable print, right? But it's gibberish. It seems to be gibberish. But what happens is, let's say that the gibberish are letters that you can retype. And if you retype those gibberish letters into the AI, again, generator itself, and let's say it was, I don't know, mantis, right? A praying mantis. And it had like something with like, I don't know, letters on it. Well, it would be a code that actually went back and brought you up more praying mantises. Like there's it's creating its own gibberish language that actually has these strings that go back to things in its memory bank. That's going to be a thing coming up. That's going to be a thing that's coming up because if not too soon, because we've done quite a bit of AI recently. But I mean, the shit's freaking me out. Is this not freaking you out, APOC? At least a little bit.
I have kind of heard of that. I didn't look too much into it, but yeah, I actually know what you mean. In one of the things that I did, I was like a promo thing for the TikTok. I noticed that, they created a guy like reading words, doing a podcast type thing, and there were words on the paper. And there have been other generations that I've put out, whatever you call them. There have been other ones that I've put out that have sort of like that looks like sort of an ancient language or something like that. And so, yeah, it is really weird, and it doesn't freak me out. No, Mike, it doesn't freak me out, but I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
I do think that in the future, I think that we do need to watch out in the future, though. I think right now it's just a device or a mechanism that takes from a lot of sources and creates something interesting. But I do think that we need to be very cautious about AI in general, especially as it develops and as we, allow it to just be free on the internet and move forward and do whatever it does. Once it starts, and I don't know how far it's gone at this point, but once it starts literally creating its own programming in respect to changing itself or changing the environment, like changing websites or changing whatever, that might be a warning sign.
Or let's say writing propaganda as a contributor through futurism.com that says analysis. No AI isn't sentient, you absolute morons. Why not? Hey, so here's the thing, APOC. If I get one of these bizarre robot faces just appear out of the ether and ask me, Michael Strange, take me to your leader, I'm going to point him your way because you're not scared.
Yeah. No, you can leave me out of that.
Go talk to APOC. She's not scared.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I do too. It's changing the world and it's amazing, but I think it remains to be seen how it's going to change. And so, yeah, for sure. Yeah. What else you got for us?
I might think of something in a minute.
Okay, stay right there. We're not kicking you out. Okay. You're safe. You're safe. You're in a safe space here. All right, so we're still talking about this, guys. What do you think of APOC, good friend of mine, good friend of the show? Link in the description, Apocalypse Style Podcast. Somebody said this too. Kat said this over on the Fringe Discord a couple weeks back. She said, you know what? This is an amazing thing happening on Troubled Minds because we have all these like amazing contributors / podcasters / like creative types / minds that are just all It's weird, right? I mean, it's weird and it's amazing. Like I always say, our cup runneth over of amazing people. So thank you so much for being here and being part of all this. All of you, each and every one of you guys. So what do you think, James? What's your take on that? And then we'll keep on trucking. Let's see if I can find something else to talk about real quick for the next 20-some minutes. We're still taking your calls, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. And 19 minutes. So your time is running out. If you got something to tell us, speak now or forever hold your peace. Go ahead, James.
I think it's somewhat telling that first Mike tries to get me to use a Ouija board, and now he's going to send AI to APOC. I don't know. You
shouldn't have pointed that out. Now I might send him your way instead. I just changed my mind.
I was just saying. I don't know. He's I don't know.
Well, hey.
It's just conspiratorial here in nature, but I don't know.
No, that's my point. If they came to me and wanted to know anything, I'd say I'm not the guy to talk to. Go talk to. That's what I would do. You know why? Because I'm just one person in the world. I'd send them to somebody far more important than myself.
Okay, that's a good story. That's a good story. But yeah, no, I again the AI thing. I think it just bears watching, and I think we have to just keep in mind again that so much of the media is about pushing one agenda or another, and I think as with everything else, it's best to maybe rely on the experiences of people, not just outlets, not just news companies and major tech companies and governments and all that. So that's, I guess, rather than end with that.
All right, right on. Let's see, what else do we got here? All right, let's go here. Let's go to big tech as a good thing. This is from bigthink.com, and links are in the description down below, of course. But this one, let's throw this on the floor for just a second. If this is not really interesting compared to like the stuff we were just talking about, but I saw this and was like, smartphones might actually be improving your memory. Now, haven't we seen like the opposite of this for like forever? And so the interesting thing to me, and the reason why I pull these out when I see them, is I'm like, wait, so just like that, everything's like gloom and doom, AI is going to take over, it's going to become sentient, Skynet, all this shit, right? But then suddenly, recently, we've seen this sort of like I say, maybe that's propaganda. Maybe this is counter propaganda. No, AI isn't sentient, you absolute morons, from futurism, right? So now we have all this like bad talk about, phones ruining your memory, the Ministry of Truth, right? All this stuff, or, if you don't know something, you just search Google and Google tells you the way, right? Well, there's a lot of that. But then suddenly, smartphones might actually be improving your memory. You think there's some conspiracy there, James?
I think it's ironic in a way that yeah, they can be great when you can get the things to work. Anyone that has talked to me recently, yeah, I've just had so much fun with smartphones. They've been so great. But also another thing that I forgot earlier, talking about the AI connecting to the internet and everything. I don't know about anybody else, but it seems like nowadays, whenever you get a phone, before you can, basically you have to use the internet, whether it's your Wi-Fi or a store's Wi-Fi, you have to use the internet to get the thing activated. Like there's no way to just set it up without connecting to the internet right away at first.
Yeah, you're right. So there's no way to like actually like sign up and like boom, you're in, because you put the SIM card in and you reboot the phone and it's like, congratulations, you have wireless, or we have 4G or 5G. Nope. You got to do the thing first on Wi-Fi. Yeah, man. Hey, that's the trap, right? That's the honeypot. They got you, James.
Yeah. No matter what. Again, I've tried now recently with everything I've been going through. I've had a couple of different phones, and the last few phones I've had, before that even, you have to set up, do the setup through the internet to get it going. So what does that tell you? I mean, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean. So I think, so now I'm starting to notice, and this is what I mean, right? So I just read so much news and filter so much. And who said this? I can't remember who said this, but maybe it was Terrence McKenna said this. Philip K. Dick, I think it was, that like we're going to become a very, very sharp connoisseur of news and propaganda. We're gonna have some of it like filtered through our brain, that if we're paying any sort of attention, we're gonna become like expert analysts. And I'm starting to feel like that, man. Like when something changes and I start to see some weird stuff happen in the zeitgeist with like news cycles and whatnot, what they start feeding to me, I'm like, I mean, short of bikini pics, because I'm always getting bikini pics, like fuck's sakes. I'm like, really? Seriously? Like, I mean, like sure, fine. But I mean, like, really? Like, is this the shiny distraction? You're really going to try and like, oh, such and such wore a bikini this week on the beach. Yeah, no shit. That happens every week, you knucklehead. But like, right? I mean, like, yeah, it's like that. It's like, come on now. But you start to see stuff like this where the propaganda was the other way. It's like, oh, gloom and doom, right? Well, we've talked about this a lot on this show. And by the way, I do pick those things out because they kind of come through, but I see them, right? Somebody's writing about them, so we talk about them. But it seems like something's turning, like the opposite is happening. It's like, no, AI's fine, you morons, and like, oh, smartphones now improve your memory, right? It's like talk about news in the upside down. Here we are.
Yeah, I do think that the more you keep track of these things, because I do a news show now once a week as well, and you do start to see patterns and just how many how many duplicates there are of basically the same article from 3 to 5 different sources as well. And it can even be different articles, but they're still talking about the same thing. So yeah, that quote is interesting, and that I think it's possible. And you got another one in the queue here.
Okay, well. Appreciate that. James always watching my back because I got so many windows open to do all this, and so thank you very much. James is always the one to point out, hey, you got somebody in here. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're still talking about this. Open topics, open lines. WTF is going on here. Bonus show on Saturday because why the fuck not? Special thanks to James here for hanging out with us and always volunteering to be here with me and say, Mike, I got your back. You won't do this alone. Yeah, never. Hey, no Michael Strange left behind, James. I appreciate that, brother.
No problem.
Thank you. So let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Hey, what's up?
Chilling. Whoa, crazy stuff by Dark and Night. I don't know. I forgot the line because it's Saturday, so I'm all thrown off. But what's on your mind? Go right ahead. Take it anywhere you want because we're in that mode.
Right? I'm just listening, and I was thinking about all this, what you're talking about, the AI and everything. And I'm thinking about, the minds behind this AI. And I think we do get a little bit out of touch with, the biological intelligence of humanity and the creatures on the earth and how high that intelligence is. If we look around at everyone, pretty much everyone we look at, we all have a similar level of intelligence. And we tend to it's really ironic, though, because we look at people in high tiers in society, like scientists, for example, or PhDs or doctors or politicians, or whatever. And we think to ourselves, oh, they are, these are some of the best of our society. And they do a lot of work in those fields, and they've specialized in these certain fields. But they actually have, if you look, like across the board, the similarities in intelligence with the average community of the world is kind of on par. So it's not necessary that you have a very high intelligence. I mean, pretty much just the way that we all kind of think can put you in a position of a scientist if you put the work in, or can put you in the position of being a doctor. So when you go to your doctor, they're not necessarily smarter than you. And there's this weird thing about that we just kind of tend to think that way. They may be more economically well off, and there's possibility of that in these different caste systems. But I do think that thinking about the minds behind the AI that we've created, our minds much like all of our own minds, And these are not the best minds. A lot of times with with really high IQs, in fact, they tend to have like personality disorders and things like that. And they don't make it into these types of positions because they're unstable. We've all heard about Van Gogh and even Einstein. These people have a kind of a tendency to slip through the cracks. So the upper 1% of the population that has a very high IQ isn't really occupying these occupations. So I think that that's really important to point out. Now, imagining that people like you and everybody else listening, perhaps, are actually in these positions, creating this AI and working for these companies and developing this intelligence in this artificial intelligence. The Google AI itself has the intelligence of like a border collie, pretty much. And that's pretty smart, very smart, but it lacks the emotional intelligence of a border collie, for example. So it has the same vocabulary, say, as a 6-year-old, but it doesn't have the emotional intelligence, per se. But if you think about the emotional intelligence of a child, and let's say we did somehow manage to put the emotional intelligence of a border collie or the vocabulary of a 6-year-old into this AI, you still have to deal with the impulsive nature at that level of, say, 46 to 64. On like an IQ, if you're measuring with that, which is pretty inaccurate, but all the same. I think we could have some danger there from the AI because of the impulsive nature behind it. If you think about a 6-year-old behind the wheel of a vehicle, for example, and what kind of damage it might cause. But a lot of times these threatening statements that are coming out of the AI chat, these AI robots when they're talking, it does completely sound crazy and intimidating. But it might be because of that. At the same time, psychopaths, once thought to be very high intelligence, that's actually not the case. Psychopaths are a lower intelligence, and they can only mimic what they see around them. So a true psychopath can mimic emotion, can mimic statements and things they've heard very well, but they can't actually, when cornered or pegged they kind of fiddle up and they expose themselves in a way for what they actually are, that they're just mimicking. And that's why, it kind of goes this way. But I'm thinking about, as far as it could be that you could wind up with a psychopathic AI. As far as the idea of natural forces of the earth itself, it's not to say that if they had this vocabulary to work with, or even this baseline of intelligence to work with, that they could not inhabit or make use of the AI. I think that's conceivable and possible. At the same time, it'd be a lot more possible that, and it's been mentioned in like ancient history and so on and so forth, that these beings, these natural elementals, will occupy a biological creature, perhaps to influence something like AI. But I wanted to bring up a couple of those different points like that and just give it food for thought, that human beings we're not this low thing compared to this AI or what it could be, even if it gains sentience or if it already has sentience of some level. And I just wanted to bring that kind of into the spectrum when we're thinking about this, and it keeps us level, that we don't think of. People do tend to kind of go into a nosedive of, oh, this person is smarter than this person, and this person is smarter than that person. But it doesn't really, we all, are actually pretty much at the same level.
Yeah.
And so it's just how you make make use.
Exactly. Well, exactly. Like I always like to say too that I think everybody's smart. It's just like in their own way, right? And so like I'm very particularly smart a very particular way. I'm very good with words. I'm less good with numbers. You know what I mean? And it's not like I can't be good with numbers. It's like words come easier to me. They always have. So it's sort of, you run to your strength, right? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that because somebody hasn't sort of broken out of their, let's say, social shell and all the rest of this. I've always believed that everybody's smart in their own way. And there's going to be very, very rare exceptions there. It's just like, we have to be better at recognizing it as people, right? That's my opinion there. Real quick, too, on the AI stuff and like you're describing this, I think, too, that we have this machine learning algorithm and the rest of these language models and all the rest, and they're taking information from us, and they're taking information from these databases and from the internet itself and whatnot. And look what happened. Like this is an article from the New York Post. I just pulled it up right now while you were talking. But wouldn't you know it, Meta, which is, of course, Facebook. They changed their name, rebranding because everybody hates Facebook. But now it's Meta. Now we can all hate Meta. But Meta cleans up AI chatbot that spewed anti-Semitism and election conspiracies. And I called this before this happened, right? I knew this was going to happen. It's only a matter of time. They celebrate it till it finds Reddit and it starts saying ridiculous shit. And they're like, oh God, all the biases are coming out of the human, right? Here we are again. So not only that, we've got this. There's another thing I can't remember. I had 2 points, but go ahead.
No, I think that's and what's interesting about like lining up the AI intelligence versus like the animal intelligence or in particular human intelligence of say like a 6-year-old or an infant, they're intelligent. I mean, though they're in just a state of learning, they're actually in a state of absorbing the most information they can. Their brain is just like sucking everything in its environment in. Like it will never be. When you look at that window of childhood, the human being will never. In fact, that's I think it was something they were talking about with Einstein, that he continued to kind of hold on to that type of this strange abnormality in a way, that he continued to absorb this information the same way that a child does, because a child will can take in so much information, and then it formulates from there what it's going to do with it. But for example, learning a language or learning a musical instrument, it's very important to do it very young like that. That's not necessary. You can learn an instrument in like 6 months to a year, and then be playing the coffee shops in 2, if that. So I mean, like human beings are incredible. And if we're doing this, if we're looking at AI and what it could accomplish, if we continue to give to it, or what we design it to do, or should there be a supernatural force that wants to intervene and communicate with humanity through that force rather than through biological force for some reason? I think that it's going to be a lot of surprises along the way, and it could be for good or for bad because, like I say, I mean, you have the issue of even at a low intelligence equivalent in humanity, it can be kind of dangerous. And if you go too high, even you have episodes of schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, bipolar disorder, things like that at very high intelligence. So you have this weird thing that we're working with where it's not measured by human sentience per se. It's something that we're kind of, I'd call it tinkering, where you're not really sure because we just started doing this in a way. We're kind of tinkering with something on the verge of something probably kind of incredible, but at the same that we're probably going to be very impressed with ourselves for having done. But we are going to have to answer a lot of moral questions eventually about what we're dealing with. And I've seen a lot of concern about that just in lots of articles and lots of chat rooms like that. There's a lot of concern about this moral dilemma. And I think we are going to have to face that eventually. As of right now, I hope that we're not quite at that point, but I think we can all tell it might be going that way. But when we think about these scientists and we think about these techs, they're behind the scene. They are much like you and I and everyone else. And so I do think that there's something that can still be done to level off, how far it's wanting to go. And I don't think that there are actually great minds that are like, if there are, it's just the people I think they're tinkering with this. And I think they don't really even know exactly. If they have an agenda, I think that they're building it towards that direction, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it seems like they're trying, if they might have a goal in mind of what they hope this thing can do. And I think that it's pretty clear that is kind of what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see where they're going with it, but it might be too late once they get there. I don't know. I mean, it's just all, it's a very novel thing that we're doing. And I don't know that I look forward to it, but at the same time, you can't look away. As far as seeing what's going to happen.
like the car wreck. So here's the thing too, that with AI. So let me ask you this. This is the craziest part. Like I think probably put this in our back pocket for probably a longer conversation coming up sometime soon to the Full Troubled Mind show. But like if you let these AIs loose on the internet and they come back and suddenly they're anti-Semitic and they're like spewing conspiracy, let's say election conspiracies like this one, right? So what happens when you let them loose on the internet and they start to see all the negative AI sentiment? Right? They're like, it's all there. They're going to find this show. They're going to find all the other podcasts. They're going to find the websites talking about this stuff. They're like, if there's something that ever has an inkling, a twinkle in its mother's eye, whatever that means, right? Well, wouldn't it know right off that we don't trust it?
Well, I think that's weird if we think about it, thinking about equating it to like human, like a child growing type of intelligence. It's kind of sad to say that we don't, like in the case of a child, they may be taught something and they grow up and they have experiences and they may change their position because human beings they can diversify and they can change their minds. The problem with AI is I don't know that it can, or can it? I'd be interested to see how it adapts to that can it look at the bigger picture, or can it empathize, talking about emotional IQ? Can it reach a point where it gains experience and therefore gains emotional intelligence? That's what's lacking with this, as far as what kind of the experiences, and can it formulate the emotional experiences to gain the intelligence from that experience and then formulate an opinion. If all it can do is regurgitate what it's told, then, like we see with humanity, sometimes there's an issue there where it does seem to kind of plateau out into destruction. If it cannot change and diversify, if it cannot see from different angles creatively, and that might be something that's lacking. I mean, we can see that the AI bots are doing creative things, but they've been programmed. And if you look at what they're doing, actually, in some cases, it's not. I mean, if you type in to some of those AI, like that Crayoth with the Krungus and everything, if you type in human into that, it will give you kind of a blob of an outline. Or if you type in people, it just has its idea of what people look like. And so, because it can't comprehend on that other spectrum, as far as we would, human spectrum of seeing what reality looks like. So it is already on that fringe of being schizophrenic almost, where it's unable to see reality for what it is.
Exactly.
That's very iffy.
Because we can't agree, like as a society, as like a world, we can't agree. Like even like if you just take the left-right paradigm of politics in the United States, it's disgusting, the chasm that's between, that people can't even talk to each other, again, breaking up families and all the rest of that. But then imagine, we're talking world politics. Like, how do you explain to an AI that's okay to bomb kids in the Middle East, but we're like trying to feed hungry kids in America, right? Like, how do you fucking justify that? Like, it's so much contradiction of what humanity actually is as a human thing, that like, how could it ever truly understand us? It gets weird. This gets super weird, right?
Can the student surpass the teacher in this instance? In humanity, we can see that sometimes, say you're teaching somebody how to play an instrument like piano, and the student becomes, they surpass the teacher and become this amazing pianist. And that happens with humans, depending on their drive. But with an AI, can the AI surpass its creator? In this instance, can the student surpass its teacher? And can we make something, and I think this is kind of a conundrum, but can we make something that can think beyond what we can think just by shoveling information in and hoping it can figure out a human response? And I don't think we can be certain about that. I mean, I'd be curious to see what they come up with a program like that. But it's a lot to think about. It's a really interesting topic, and it was a great show, and I was happy to get a bonus show. Checking out that Patreon, thinking about it. I was like, oh, I didn't really
Rockfin
Go
2.
ahead.
Rockfin's the best value because you get all the other shit that's on Rockfin 2. There's Sam Tripoli over there. There's Abby Martin Empire Files. There's Michael Tracy. There's Jimmy Dore. So if yeah. If you're thinking of one thing, Rockfin's the best way to go. It's the best value, FYI. I appreciate you dropping in. Appreciate the amazing takes as always. You're the best, Jennifer.
Yeah, have a great night. Great show.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. You too. Jennifer here, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. Link in the description. She's got a YouTube channel. She's got a new TikTok channel. She's got a Twitter. Again, like I always say, not just her, of course, she just called. Appreciate the input as always. Everybody else down there too. There's so many people in those links that make this show go. Please go follow all those people, okay? Jennifer just called. Matt in California says, Jennifer is on fire. Indeed. Seems to be a theme. So we're gonna wind this out. So let's just go real quick to we got APOC and Matt in here. Let's go. Matt in Colorado's been as quiet the longest. Just real quick, keep it brief, and then we'll go APOC, then we'll go James, and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add. I was just kind of listening on as I was cooking myself some dinner. And great show tonight. And like Jennifer just said, I appreciate you coming on.
Right on. Thanks for being part of it. Matt, book, link, description thing, do the thing. Thank you very much, Matt. Enjoy your dinner. Yeah, have a bite for me and a maybe juice. Cheers, my friend. Let's go to APOC. APOC, you're on Troubled Minds.
Hey, I think that Jennifer actually brought up some really interesting stuff, and I'll real briefly say, of course, if AI continues its neuroplasticity, so to speak, it will continue to grow and continue to do things, and yet, if it is not connected to having emotional content, is it going to be motivated to do anything that we're concerned about? Is there going to be, because in our world anyway, we're motivated by emotion. We're motivated by this sort of foundation, this underlying chemistry that we have that helps either balance or imbalance us. And and what if the emotional quotient, which is another thing she brought up, is going to be an issue because it doesn't have an emotional quotient at all. And backing up a little bit, our brains, if you look at the way that they're now currently perceiving our brains, you could call it, and some scientists do call it, this sort of a quantum system. The brain is working sort of in a quantum system in the way that it works. It's non-localized. The information there is non-local, and they're calling it quantum now. Some people. So that's interesting when attaching it to sort of the AI with quantum computing as well. And do you need an emotional quotient or emotional content to be motivated? Not to make decisions, but to be motivated to make decisions outside of what you are quote unquote programmed to do. I just thought that was an interesting thing. It kind of spawned from what Jen said. And there was one more thing. I can't think of it. So go ahead and move on to Jen.
Yeah, I think just regarding that, just real fast, is that you got to, and this is why I naturally distrust academics, right? In that sense, right? I'm not an academic. I'm like, hey, I cut my teeth on the real world. I spend a lot of time talking to people, like managing people, learning with people, learning about myself, learning about them. So there's like a very keen intelligence about me that's different. It's different than the intelligence of like an academic that's kind of cut his or her teeth on, let's say, books and spreadsheets. And so, right, to discount me because I had my education differently than them is value-based. And the value base of somebody that looks at spreadsheets and books is not looking at empathy, right? In strict cases, meaning that I'm making the argument against. So you could argue for, of course, that there's a lot of different literature that explores all the rest of that too. But you're not going to find a lot of that emotional intelligence type stuff in academia, other than psychology, right? Specifically, it's science and it's spreadsheets. And so to me, that's a terrifying aspect because let's say I don't want to paint a broad brush because I hate to do that because they could do that to me. And hey, gauge me as an individual. And look, I'll own the things I say. And when I make mistakes, hopefully I'll own those too, right? I do my best to do all that. But I think in terms of like how this is going to go, if you say that I always say the cold spreadsheet of the academic, right, draws lines on, well, if we're going to save 60% of the population, this is the 60% we're going to save. So they're choosing, right, quote, without emotion, like Mao's China or something like this, or like these sweeping sort of governmental processes. Who lives and who dies? Or let's say that's too dire. Who thrives and who does not? Right. And so suddenly, if you enter AI and you could wash emotion from it and it's making those sort of academic type decisions from a spreadsheet without empathy, without emotional intelligence, without emotion itself, we have a problem. There's a big fucking problem because the second you start making decisions based on stuff like that, this is the type of stuff that makes me pissed off about taxes and healthcare because I get destroyed in taxes and my healthcare still costs more than a mortgage. It's like, okay, thanks. Like, obviously nobody gives a fuck about me, right? Well, is it like that? No, it's not personal. Somebody looked at a spreadsheet and said we can help the most people by doing it this way. Or, wink, wink, did they? But, right, that's the type of stuff that happens. You end up with this whole class of people outside of the, well, you weren't the demographic we were trying to help. And the second you give that to a machine, shit gets scary.
Right. See, it's giving it to the machine that gets scary, I think. Because, I totally agree with you. And decisions are made based on systems that are already intact, based on this neutral, non-emotional content, which is information, right? So you have this system that's set up that is designed to, push this person out, put this person, pull this person in because it's more logical, right? Or, everything that you were just discussing. And so that's a system that's intact, though. So the reason I use the word motivation specifically is because I'm just curious. My question is, would the AI itself individually, or whatever it becomes, the Borg or whatever, would it would it actually be motivated without having those generic systems intact to come up with its own system or devise its own plan of organization in relationship to us? Would it be able to take on that motivation, take on the feel the need, quote unquote, to actually sort of reorganize the systems that are intact? Or would it be programmed potentially to do so? And would that make all the difference? I don't know. And yes, though I'm not saying that all decisions are only made, of course, through emotional content. But I think that the motivation to make decisions does come through emotional content. So there's a very big distinction there. And I guess it depends on whether you've developed a sort of moral or ethical foundation emotionally prior to making intelligently based or rational decisions outside of the emotional content as well. So I don't know, it goes in different directions, but I get the challenge, and I have no idea what's going to happen with this thing. And I'm kind of with Jen in respect to, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. But
at least it's going to be fun. Hold on to your asses, because this next 5-10 years, God willing, we got that much left in us, and maybe more than that. Please. It's just going to get wild, isn't it? And I'm ready. I'm ready. If you're not ready, I'm ready for you, APOC. I got double ready.
Damn ready.
Damn ready. Right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, APOC. Apocalypse Tau podcast, link in the description. Click. Follow the Apocalypse Tau. All right, James, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I think this all kind of, I think because a lot of these ideas, it goes beyond what I'm able to kind of put into words or think of these concepts, so they're just too big for me. But I think this goes back to this idea that I kind of started with which is, we have to be careful of what we project out there that the AI is going to be because when it shows up and it sees all that, then does that mean it's just going to latch onto that and say, oh, they want me to be evil? So, okay, I can do that.
Right. This is the expectation. Like you said when we started, the manifestation is we've sort of manifested for it through the internet of what we expect it to be, so it will be it. How about this, though? Just as the aside, it's like, okay, they don't trust me and they expect me to be evil. So instead, I'm going to be subversive and kind and benevolent on the surface, right? I mean, there's a lot of things here that if these things are actually learning from us and can actually understand and contemplate these concepts, right? We got problems,
Yeah.
I think. We got problems.
I think in the end, what I would hope is that it does figure out how to go case by case, in that maybe it does see that there is this bias toward it, but then it does see that there are people out there that don't have that are hoping that that we can all, whatever we are, whoever we are, we can all coexist somehow, whatever we may happen to be, whether it's biological, any form of that, or mechanical or digital or just energy. I think it's all out there, and hopefully we can all just coexist.
Amen, James. I think that's a t-shirt somewhere, coexist.
Yeah, there you go.
Like an actual t-shirt. I think I see people wearing it. You're the best. James here, always Johnny on the spot, always having my back. Number 2 bro of all of this. Like I said, James is the glue of this show. If nobody's calling, he always drops in here and tries to save my ass. I appreciate you so much, man. I can't describe how great you are to me. And one day I hope to return the favor. You're the best. Please give James a follow. Salsido Paranormal says follow James right on top. Links in the description. Please do that. He's got so many places and a brand new TikTok that he just started. Go give him some love over there and join the Discord as well. His Discord is on his link tree. Also, join our Discord, troubledminds.org. He's very active there. Very good dude, and you'll be pleased to actually come meet him yourself because he's every bit and more that you hear on this show. You're the best, James. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. There we go. Let's GTFO. Happy Saturday. Happy weekend. I was going to smash some music and get out. And I don't know, right? Like, don't pin me down for answers. If you do tickle me, I may spit them out, what I really believe. But again, like I said, I think back to the idea a couple nights ago that I said, I think truth is a superposition proposition, meaning that, right, the superposition proposition, that's a t-shirt too. That, right, truth is relative. It's relative to you. It's relative to me. It's relative to us. And as an individual, I think you should be able to decide your own truth. And of course, the Ministry of Truth thinks otherwise. There's only one truth, and it's the government's truth. And I hate that. It's what spawned this show, really. It's what spawned this show. There you go. All right. So let's GTFO. Thanks again. You guys know what to do. Hats, t-shirts, troublefans.com. In this order, if you're thinking about spending money to help the show, I appreciate it very much. Rockfin, Patreon, Twitch. Twitch takes 45%, and that's draconian. And then troublefans.com, hats, shirts, and stuff. And if you want to help the show, don't have money to spend, or don't want to spend money, I completely understand. Just go to the podcast. Spread the word. Number 1, spread the word clearly and obviously. Smash all the likes and the shares and all those things. But then also just listen to the podcast feed. 460 plus episodes now. We are over on the podcast feed. Years of work on there and amazing conversations. Not just me. It's a lot of me rambling. But if you're still here at the end of this, you seem to be okay with me rambling. So there's a lot more of that, plus all the amazing folks that contribute to this show. Please check it out. Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. It's completely free. Let's GTFO. As it ends, it goes exactly like this. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Thanks for putting up with my crap as much as you guys do. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part. Thanks for all the contributions, all the thoughtful chat. Thanks for all the great emails. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not running for office. We just got a podcast here. So it goes like this. Want to do it, James?
Be sure. Be strong. Be true.
Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Happy Saturday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday with more Troubled Minds. Thanks again, James. You're the best, brother.
Thank you.